evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM E-Cast. We're just about to get into things tonight. It is Monday night, which means ANZCAR Truck Series on FGM E-Cast. And tonight we are headed to Watkins, Glen. It's going to be 35 laps in these trucks. It's going to be a completely different proposition for the drivers to Knoxville last week, where we ran on the dirt, and it certainly produced some really close and great racing. So we're about to roll the intros. Let's get stuck into it tonight. FGM E-Cast presents ANZCAR Truck Racing live from Watkins, Glen. Let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM E-Cast as we head to Watkins Glen tonight for the ANZCAR Truck Series. Yes, we are here with a circuit track with the truck, so looking forward to getting into this one. I've got Carl with you, who's just run into the box. Carl, good evening.
Good evening, Stuart, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to Watkins Glen, a very tricky circuit. Of course, we're not running the full track tonight. It's missing a little bit of a track, but it is still a very tricky one indeed. The big long straight from the loop to the chute is going to be making it very tricky down into the braking zone of turn 8, so expect to see a few people locking up going down there without the boot connected to the track tonight.
Yeah, last time we were here, I think it was in the 87s, actually. It was the last time we broadcast here, where as you just see Ben Snell there, just getting very, very sideways indeed in the Hot Toddy's liveried entry. But yeah, the last time we were here was in the 87s, and I remember turn 1 was probably a little less than desirable for most of the drivers participating in it. I think we had a wreck that took out a good 7 or 8 trucks. You may have even been driving in that one, Carl.
I think I was actually, yeah. So I think I was actually competing in that race. Can't remember how I did. I imagine it was pretty poorly, in all honesty. Not one of my favourite tracks, but I've got to say, driving this style of car around it is not my forte.
No, well, they are tough to drive around here. No downforce, lots of power, skinny little tyres. It's a recipe for excitement or disaster, depending on which perspective you take. And that's part of the reason why it's on here, is to challenge the drivers. And of course, in the real world, you know, they do a little bit of circuit racing from time to time as well. So keen to see how we get things underway here tonight. I noticed there is a striking absence from the list tonight, with no one Michael Skurlock appearing on the list, so we'll have him. His absence will be notable, no doubt, up the front of the field, but at the moment it is a very, very familiar face who is fastest in practice at the moment. Dare I say, a man whose patch may be purpler than Michael Skurlock's at the moment, which is Andrew Dyson, who of course did take a back-to-back win last week in both the Thunder Series and the Cup Series at Kota. So we know he's reasonably strong in these platforms and on circuit track. So looking to see him potentially take out a third consecutive win in a row for the DPR team tonight.
Yeah, look, Andrew Dyson, one of those drivers, extremely strong on circuit racing, and is getting better on ovals as well, which is a scary thing indeed for championships. Just pulled up the results, actually, so I just had to have a quick look back. Yes, the last race of the 87 series, the Grand National Series, was here at the Glen. Foster ended up finishing second with Maddie Raymond in third, so watch out for those two tonight. Those two have got some pedigree on this track, and I didn't finish too badly. It was only in 7th place, so I could have been much worse indeed. But yeah, it is a really tricky track, and it's one that really favours those circuit specialists. And we've seen a few new faces coming in. We got Ben Snell in today, a bit of a circuit driver. Daniel Heddershield as well up there, another driver that is very familiar on circuit racing, not so much on the oval side of things, but he is definitely putting in another good performance tonight and setting the times alight. Hamish Cleland up there as well. Alex John, new face to the series. Justin Howe as well up there, another driver that is extremely good on the twisty, turny circuits.
Yeah, we've also jumped on board here. Alex McKellar, he's new to the series tonight too. And we do have a couple of our quick guys from the dirt race last week back in the fold again this week. James Robbie, Jaden Russell jumping in again as well. So good to see this series nice and strong. 33 trucks here tonight. And this is a round that might turn a few people away. So good to see the guys from the ANZCAR truck part of the ANZCAR world jumping in and getting involved in this one.
Yeah, very much so. Just quickly going through standings after 2 rounds so far of the trucks this season. Season 2, of course, of the trucks 2021. Jason Martin is in the lead. He's got a 3-point lead over Nathan Clark. Michael Skurlock is third, 4 points behind the leader. 7 points back is Edward Foster in joint 4th place with Daniel Heddershield and James Robbie. All of them 7 points behind. 8 points behind is Josh Micklemore. Hamish Cleland is in joint 8th place with Christopher Finlay, 16 points behind the leader. And down in 10th place is Mr. Dave Douglas with 22 points behind the leader at the moment. So a few people out there that can really look to improve their championship. It's also good to see Lachlan Urquio back out there in the car. As much as we'd love to have him in the commentary booth, he is back in the car, so hopefully his knee will not give him too much issue tonight and he can set some good results as well, get his season off to a good start.
Yeah, he had sort of forecasted this to be the round that he'd get back involved, and certainly good to see him back out on track. The other one in terms of people jumping from the booth to the track, Scotty Rankin jumps back in Indy Autosports entry number 49. So looks there like he may actually be running the wrong number. I might just refresh the liveries there just to check on that because we've got him listed as 156. So I'll just refresh the liveries quickly just to make sure we've got that right.
Yeah, coming up as 49 on my screen as well, so he might need to quickly see if he can fix that up, because otherwise that's going to be a disqualification, unfortunately, as we saw at the in the Thunder series. Unfortunately, you've got to make sure you're running that correct number, because otherwise you will get yourself a bit of a penalty.
Yeah, indeed. So, see how he goes with that one. I might just drop him a message just to let him know, because we don't want him to be booted out of the race. We want to see as many out there running as we can.
Well, that's it. We want to try and keep him out of the commentary booth for as long as possible. But no, hopefully we'll get that one fixed for him, because yeah, it'd be nice to see him getting a good result and getting his season off to a good one. He's been having some good results, and been good to see him actually running in the series, of course. One of the drivers that runs in a few different series as well, Scotty Rankin, and a fair amount of experience and a fair amount of speed in that car too, so definitely one to watch out for. I mean, when we're talking about speed in cars, top speed at the moment, top time at the moment is a 1:13.5 for Andrew Dyson, and the slowest is a 1:16.7 currently, which is 3 seconds, which you look at and you go, that's a fair bit of gap between them, but it's not that big when you look at the field. Such a big field as well. A lot of times very close to each other, so I think this one is going to be a really, really tight race.
Yeah, and I mean at the front, it's really really tight. Like you got 1, 2, 3. You would have got there probably half a dozen drivers covered by less than half a second. So Andrew Dyson, as you'd expect to be, nice and strong. Daniel Hennessey's going to give him a hard time tonight. He's just with him on pace. And then Ben Snell, Hamish Glen, like they may not have had the cleanest run on the fastest lap they did. You don't know. Obviously, that's going to be difficult here. Qualifying is going to be nice and easy because it is solo qualifying, even though it is a circuit race. But that start of the race is going to be really hard for them to try and find space. These things are going to be really loose in the rear as they try and go through those first couple of corners, and it's going to be packed because we've got so many drivers on such close speed. So it's going to be about managing that first bit of your race. Remembering that we're doing 35 laps here tonight, so they've got plenty of time to try and sort themselves out, get a little bit of space. They will be required to stop for a pit stop, so it should only be one stop just for a tyre change and obviously a little bit of fuel, but it's just going to be really important to try and get through that first part of the race. That fast right-hander catches people out, and then as they come up across the back here towards the long run up to the hairpin, they can easily get caught out.
Yeah, that's it. It's a thing of keeping it consistent as well. Is you might not be the fastest guy out on track, but if you can keep it consistent, you can find yourself in a good position. It's not always about one lap pace. That's really a huge thing you got to take away from a race like this. Single lap pace can sometimes be a good indicator of who's fast, but it's not always a good indicator of who is consistent. Because you might be the fastest guy out on track, but if you can't make it consistently, then you are going to struggle. And if you're only finding you're able to make those laps last about 3 or 4 laps, then you're going to struggle in a race run as well. If you can keep a consistent time of around about 1 minute 15, say, and keep it actually consistent over a race, you might be in a good shout for actually getting a good finish as well. So it's a lot of things involved in that, and it's more than just driving extremely fast. You've got to be able to do it over a whole race and keep the car, most importantly, on the grippy stuff on the track itself.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not equally too sure how harsh they are on off tracks here. I know you can get one through turn 1, through the last corner. I'm apologising. Through the last corner, you can get one if you go too wide. And obviously up through here as well, so they're going to have to factor that in tonight too, that just to be careful to keep it within the track limits, and that could be a little difficult.
One of the good things, of course, about Watkins Glen is it's a bit of an old school circuit in the fact that the track limits are effectively cornered in by green bits. So when you go off track, you generally clip a bit of that green stuff, and then all of a sudden your truck goes spinning around quite quickly. So you tend to not want to go off track and not find those track limits in the first place.
Yeah, of course. And in the trucks, as we just see Mirko just understanding that he needs to contribute to the broadcast here and just showing us exactly what it looks like when you do drop a wheel off onto the grass. You can expect to find yourself into one of those barriers as well. So thanks very much, Mirko, for displaying what we're talking about. That's what we'll see tonight, and the guys are going to have to be careful as well going side by side through some of these turns as well, because I think with Mirko that just started with a little bit of tail happy truck that he was driving, and then he grabbed the grass. So I don't think it's going to be an easy race tonight by any stretch of the imagination, and we're certainly going to see the cream rise to the top.
That's it. It's going to be a long race. It's going to be a tricky one, and these trucks do take a lot out of you. Dave Douglas, welcome to the broadcast. Shame not to see you out there tonight. I don't see you out there at the moment, so obviously not able to make it out in the car tonight. But Dyson's up at the top, so he is currently leading the pack away in practice, but will he be able to continue that form into qualifying and the race? Got to say, with his recent efforts, it's probably going to be a yes, but we are going into qualifying now.
There we go. Shame not to see you there, Dave. If you're around and looking for something to do, mate, we'd always love to have you back up in the combox, so jump in if you're around. Otherwise, enjoy the broadcast from wherever you are, probably in Barbados or something with your feet up. So solo qualifying tonight. Carl, as usual, get you to talk us through a lap. We might stick on board here with Christopher Finlay. He's jumped out of pit lane. There'll be a few drivers who will slowly emerge from pit lane. No need to jump out straight away. as Christopher Finlay has decided to restart himself. And we'll stick with the Simboys 104 for our call around the track tonight. We'll let him get out and get involved, get the warm-up done. Saw an interesting strategy in the Thunder Series last week as well, Carl, with a different approach taken by Andrew Dyson to get himself through the first lap on the circuit and really manage quite well how the warm-up lap was done to keep the heat out of those tyres so they didn't overheat on that, obviously a much longer track. Do you think we'll see any of that tonight here with the guys just taking it easy on the out lap to maximise tyre life across the 2 laps?
Honestly, with Watkins Glen, I think people are actually going to want to try and get a little bit of temperature into the tyres just to get the front sticking. It's going to be a thing of not putting too much heat in the rear tyres on this out lap, but getting enough temperature in those front tyres so they stick to the corners. Obviously, at COTA, very different style of track. It's a much longer track, and it's one of those circuits where you don't want the tyres to overheat. So I think it'll be a little bit different here tonight. I think they're going to run a little bit, not quite as hard on this out lap, but run it a little bit harder than they did at COTA and just get a little bit of temperature in there as we start the first lap here for Christopher Finlay and the Sim Boys car, going down towards the turn 1, the 90 here, as a very, very tricky turn, 90 degrees to the right-hander. Onto this short little straight up to the S's, turn number 2 and 3. You've got to be careful of the back end here stepping out on you. Takes a nice bit of curb on the entry there. Going to want to clip the curb just on the exit here. Get up here, get on that little bit of curb. Will he do it? Just off there. Keeps it tight through there. Does not lose the back end up through turn number 4. Onto the back straight. We're coming up to the inner loop here. Right, left corner. You've got to get the curb nicely on here. Gets the car turned in. Left, right, and left and right again into the big loop. Turn 7 here. Very long right hand. You've got to be careful where you put the power on. You want to sort of put it on mid corner. There's a bit of camber where you can use it to make the truck turn. Down the chute we go into turn number 8. This is where you might see some people locking up and making a bit of a mistake. There's a little bit of camber here. You want to get on that concrete, get on the exit, use that little bit of curb, round to turn 9, right hander onto the start finish straight. Again, get on that bit of concrete, get the power down, nice and easy on the exit. Nice lap from Christopher Finlay. How's that going to work it out for him for the time? Gets him up to P5.
Great lap there and a great call, Carl. Thank you very much for taking us through a lap here at Watkins Glen. So Finlay just getting pipped. Jason Martin's just jumped up into 6th place. Kate Donnelly into 5th. And Ben Snell currently fastest, a 1:13.99, followed by Edward Foster with a 14.51. Daniel Hadasheed with a 5.2. They are out on their second flying lap. Let's jump on with Ben Snell now as he goes through. He's going to complete his second flying lap. Currently on provisional pole. Will he improve on his fastest lap as Luke Trahare jumps up into 7th place? And Snell now coming around down towards the last couple of corners of his flying lap. Edward Foster's about to cross the line. He is going to potentially improve on his lap. He's got a few green sectors there, so we should see him drop down. And he has done a 14.44, so slight improvement there from Foster on his second lap. Probably expect to see the same here from Ben Snell. No, he doesn't, but Daniel Hedesheed just goes in front of him. In fact, Ben Snell has done a 13.67, so he now is back on provisional pole. Daniel Hedesheed thought he had it there for the moment. He did a 13.94, so just to improve slightly, but Snell just pips him at the post as he completes his second flying lap. Let's jump down with Luke Trahare now as he completes his second flying lap. He's got 2 green sectors. Green is obviously what you want. It means he's gone faster this time around than last time. Purple is ideal because it means you are the fastest in the session of that sector. Trahare just gets a nice exit there, back down onto the main straight. How's he going to go? Can he improve on his 14.97 first lap round? He can. 14.56, jump straight up into 6th position. We've actually got Ed Foster and Alex J. John. Alex, a new entrant to the series on basically identical times. Kate Donnelly, Luke Trahare, a 100th between them, and then a 10th between Martin Howe and Cleland. It is packed at the front. It looks like the line at the supermarket when the toilet paper is on special.
Yeah, very much so. Big shocker is going to be Andrew Dyson. He made mistakes on both his qualifying laps and is going to be starting right down the order as we start gridding up here for the race. So let us go through the starting order. So on the front row, we have newcomer Ben Snell, Daniel Heddersheed in second. On the second row, we have Edward Foster and Alex John. Third row is Kay Donnelly with Luke Trahair. Fourth is Jason Martin with Justin Howe. Fifth row is Hamish Cleland with Aaron Dillon. Sixth, we have James Robbie and Christopher Finley. Seventh row is Nathan Rowlock and Alex McKellar. Seventh is Scotty Rankin with Dylan Gray. Eighth is Gary Wellman with Josh Mickelmore. Ninth row, we have Norman Clark, Moko Dortnack. 10th row, Aidan Schultz and Lachlan Urquio. 10th is Ruben Phelps with Jaden Russell. 11th, we have Tristan Koch and Andrew Dyson. 12th is Nathan Clark, Aaron Major, Michael Schroeder and Maddie Raymond. Join us on the next row with Riley Curtis, Dwayne Priest, and at the back we have Mick Taylor. Stacked field, 33 cars out there tonight. It's going to be one heck of a race, and we've seen some good times. Keep an eye out for Andrew Dyson working his way through the field. It's going to be an interesting one there.
Yeah, just having a little chuckle to myself. Dyson's actually just had enough time to jump into the chat on YouTube and tell us basically that he didn't make any mistake. He just wants to run through the traffic. So we'll have to see how that goes. I love it how they've got time to be watching the stream at the same time as driving in it. Good luck, Dyso. Looking forward to seeing you make your way through the traffic tonight. It's going to be interesting. That is for sure. I was always taught as a kid that if you got told to go out and play in the traffic, it was generally because people didn't want you around. So good luck with that. We'll see how you get on. But we do have first-time pole sitter Ben Snell, who's going to lead us away here. We'll do a full lap. That is an awesome-looking beard that Ben's rocking there. You can see that just come up on the profile picture on the stream. And there's been a fair bit of work go into that. But it is himself and Daniel Heddersheed on the front row. Alex John, a newcomer as well. And then Edward Foster, a stalwart of the series. So plenty of experience around these newcomers. Let's see how they fare as we get underway with our warm-up lap here from Watkins Glen. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a little bit of side-by-side stuff, and it's going to get a little hairy if I'm any estimation. Carl, early on, mate, who is your kiss of death?
Oh, look, I'm going to say Daniel Heddersheed's been doing some impressive stuff, so I'm going to give him the unfortunate lucky tick of approval tonight. So no doubt we'll see him spinning off in the first corner, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about that, Daniel. But he's been looking strong. Just going back to the battle of the beards, Ben Snell and Andrew Dyson. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one between those two. Those two have some glorious beards, and I'm sure Michael Scurlock is going to be feeling a little bit left out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a picture of Dyso's beard up on the screen there, but it's got some form, it's got some structure about it, and yeah, there certainly could be a battle of the beards there, and I reckon you're right. If Skirly's watching, he's probably going to turn the stream off. So we'll leave it on here with Ben Snell as they get formed up. I'll do a full warm-up lap here. It's not the longest track in the world behind the truck, and they're going to take advantage of that, try and get a little bit of heat in the tyres. Drivers generally will drag the brake a little bit to try and get some warmth through the tyres, try and get that heat radiating from the rotor up through the wheel. Just on this warm-up lap, as I can see there, I think it's might be Justin Howe right up the clacker of the 40. I think it's Cade Donnelly in front of him. It might not be actually. Sorry, Justin Howe in front of him. So there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on there.
You have that little bit of playing with that driver in front of you, just a little bit of mind games for the start of the race. Just throw them off a little bit, try and get them a little bit worried about things to come. As we're finally coming around the final corner, we're going to see the pace truck pull into pit lane, and Ben Snell is going to lead us off for the very first time. His ANZCAR debut, taking pole and leading us away here at Watkins Glen for the Truck Series. As Edward Foster gets a good start down the inside of Daniel Heddersheed there. He's going to hold that line and try and get up into second place. You can see just behind Kate Donnelly as well, making the move as Heddersheed goes a little bit wide. He's going to have a little bit more speed coming off the corner up into the S's, and he manages to hold on. Jason Martin has made a huge mistake in the back. Big crash there from Jason Martin.
And then there's obviously a heap of drivers caught up in that one. This will bring out... No, there's no cautions tonight. So
no cautions
looks,
on the road course.
Yeah, it looks like Norm Clark's also been caught up in that. There's a few drivers involved there. And we set it for turn one. You got to go wide there, give some room to the drivers following through. And we'll try and grab a replay of that one where we can. But looks like Jason Martin, Justin Howe, Aaron Major, Norm Clark, all involved in various parts of that incident.
Gary
so
Wellman's truck is
Andrew Dyson as well.
Yeah, a lot of drivers towards the back, and that's the thing about starting at the back, is you end up you can end up getting caught up in other people's accidents. You can see there Josh Mickelmore, he got caught right into the side of his teammate Jason Martin, championship leader of course, Jason Martin. That is devastating for his championship hopes, but a huge accident there at the start has really cost a lot of those guys a bit further down, and that was a big accident. Just watching it myself, it looked like Justin Howe maybe just caught the back of Jason Martin and spun him around into the S's, and that's what caused that enormous wreck at the start.
There's a couple of cars there, look like they're going to run out of motors, I think. So unfortunately for them, they're out of the race on lap one. But Ben Snell with a really solid start, and Edward Foster up one position on Daniel Hedersheet into lap two, or about halfway through lap two here. So not to put the kiss of death on him, but Ed's had a couple of good races of late, just working his way back up into those sort of top fives. He had a win on Sunday night in the IndyCar series with the Weekend Warriors League, and he also had a good, strong performance in the Cup at Coda as well. Probably not as strong as he would have liked, but just a good, solid hit out for him. Just managing to stay out of all of the rubbish that's been happening on track around him that he seems to have got caught up with, so he'll be pleased with his start. And Cade Donnelly as well up one. Our biggest mover, Dwayne Priest, he managed to jump a whopping 18 spots in all of that commotion at the start of the race and keep his truck clean as well, so he's up 18 spots early on in this one.
Yeah, really good start there from Dwayne. We've seen some good racing from Dwayne Priest recently, and he's been having some good runs, which is what we like to see. There's a big engine, or somebody actually locking up. Sorry, I thought it was an engine block.
Yeah, it was Michael Schroeder just spun off into the final corner there.
Yeah, it's a bit hard with the new smoke model. Sometimes it does look like an engine issue, but no, it was just tyres. Foster doing a great job, as you said, having taken a win away on last night. That was in the Weekend Warrior Series. I hear, as Daniel Hedershield just gets a little bit sideways. I hear some legend managed to finish inside the top 10 as well. Won't mention any names though. But no, Foster was mighty in the IndyCar series, and he's really been putting a lot of effort into road racing and just getting a little bit more comfortable on these circuits. Just because we are going to be going to a lot more this season in all forms of the NASCAR racing series. Scotty Rankin doing a good job of working his way up the field. He's made 10 positions. He's up there in 10th place. He's trying to chase down one of the lads cards. I think it is in front of him. Oh no, sorry, it's Dylan Gray there. Sorry, similar colours. Dylan Gray with the Gentleman Sims Racing Club. So he's up there just in front. Just in front of him, but he is a lap down.
Yeah, he's indeed just got caught out in that first bit. He has jumped through pit lane, so that will adjust. He's still on the lead lap, so that not for long though. If he doesn't get a real long, but that'll readjust itself when we get through those pit serves. And Ben Snell now second to the good. Edward Foster got a little bit of company from Daniel Hedersheet, just maintaining that gap. Sort of got 2 or 3 battles forming. 3 seconds away, we've got Cade Donnelly and Alex John there battling away. Behind them, it's Luke Trahair and Hamish Cleland. They're in a fight, as you can see. And then we do have Nathan Rawlick and Aaron Dillon fighting away as well. So this a little bit goes back to Coda last week. We seem to get these little battle packs forming. Dwayne Priest and Nathan Clark, they're battling away. And we can keep going down the list. We'll just keep an eye on here as there is a move on, by the look of it, by Nathan Clark. He's just trying to get under Priest there. And he's going to get that done. Of course, Priest will have the line, but he gets it closed out before that final corner and gets a nice clean move done there. So Nathan Clark moves up another position into 12th.
Yeah, good run from Nathan Clark. He's having another good run as well, and he is going to be looking good championship-wise. Of course, he came into this race sitting second in a championship, made 8 positions with that win at Knoxville, of course. So he made a huge jump in the championship, but this is going to be a welcome sight for him. If he can finish up in the top 10 tonight, that's going to be very useful for him, especially with the unfortunate incident taking out Jason Martin. So Jason Martin is going to be really struggling now championship wise. He was in the lead coming into this one, but I don't think he will be coming out of it.
No, unfortunately not. And you know,
good move between Alex John and Cade Donnelly at the moment. Those two are side by side. Alex John tried to get the up and under, couldn't quite get it working on Cade Donnelly, but watch for this first corner, coming down to the 90. We're probably going to see Alex John try and get underneath Cade Donnelly's rear wing, work up behind him through the S's, and then make a move into the loop up the top of the hill. So he's going to try and get the draft coming up the hill here. He's going to want to try and stick right to the back of Cade Donnelly and then make an attack coming into that inner loop corner, that sort of bus stop, turns 5 and 6 up the end of this straight. He's getting that bit of draft right now. You can see him coming up, but he can't quite make it work this time round. But this battle is going to start heating up. You can see how close he gets to Cade Donnelly right there. He is definitely looking very racy.
Yeah, sounded like he might have carried just a little too much speed there. I heard him just checking the car up ever so slightly, and that slowed up that momentum he had built. So he's going to try another move on here. He's going to have to go around the outside, He's not going to get it done there, but he's trying to set Cade up. He's just trying to work out where it is that he might be able to get a move done here. Donnelly driving very well, positioning the truck exactly where you need to get it done. So he's just got to keep that tight and defend here as John looks to go down the inside again into turn 1. He's just not quite close enough up, and Donnelly again doing really well with that number 40 Simboy's entry, just holding him up. You can run real wide there, and that opens you up. Just see Trajeda in the background, just following that line wide left, so carry a bit more speed through the corner, but makes you susceptible.
It does. You've got to be a little bit careful with that. He's driving a good defensive line at the moment, but it looks like more of a when than if moment between these two, because it definitely looks like John has got a little bit more speed underneath him, and Donnelly is almost that cork in the bottle, and it is allowing Luke Trahir and Hamish Cleland to catch up to him as well. So those guys are going to start catching up. Looks like Cade Donnelly just doesn't have quite the pace at the moment, but he has got track position, so that's the important thing. You see Luke Trahir having to battle a little bit with Cleland there at the background as well, and this is helping Nathan Rollock as well just catch up to that group. Meanwhile, up at the front we still have the battle between Foster and Hedesheed at the moment. It is still staying relatively even, but Hedesheed has made a few attempted passes, not quite getting it done just as yet. We jump back to Hamish Cleland, who's got the inside of Luke Trahir now. This is going to be a dive for turn number 1. Will he make it work? Trahir's going to use that outer line. He can run a bit wider, get a bit of a better exit here. Will he manage to keep it on that throttle? No, he can't. Cleland takes the position and moves up to P6. A nice overtake there from Hamish Cleland.
Yeah, plenty of respect shown by both drivers, which is exactly what we expect of this series. And it was good close racing through here, just not quite able to keep with him, obviously not on that preferred line as well, so he will have to regroup and go again in the Crank Esports 43 entry. As Cleland just grabs a fair bit of the old Buffalo on the way through there. Didn't upset the truck too much, so he will try and press on.
Just jumping back to 15th and 16th, we've got a good battle going on between Ruben Phelps and Andrew Dyson. Andrew Dyson getting caught up in that early battle. They're just behind Alex McKellar as well. But you've got to say, Andrew Dyson is working a wounded truck at the moment, but he is putting some pressure on Ruben. So he's trying his best to get up and past there at the moment. Can't quite make it a done deal yet, but he is really putting that pressure on as they go. They were very close a few moments ago, not quite as close now. Oh, as Ruben Phelps loses the rear end coming into the corner, and so does Michael Schroeder behind. They both managed to save it. Both of them absolutely brilliant saves there. That's going to run a bit of heat through over rear tyres, so just make it a little bit rough for the next couple of laps. But great saves there by those two drivers.
Yeah, and Aaron Major here just trying to capitalise as well on that from Michael Schroeder. Looks like he's going to get the job done there in the Driving for Dummies entry. I like the livery on that track. Well done there, but he's managed to make a move up there as a consequence of that issue, and he is now into 18th place. Blaine Priest grabbed an extra position as well during all of that over, I think, Matty Raymond, so he's now up 21 spots, currently sitting in 11th.
Yeah, Dwayne having an absolute stellar drive tonight in the 777. Really, really good drive out there and just absolutely flooring it. And he's actually going to gain another position, I think, as Aidan Schultz has made a bit of a mistake in front of him. And he's going to get past Aidan Schultz.
I think that might be Mirko. It's Mirko.
That was Mirko, sorry, yeah. Too many crank cars out there. They threw me off slightly. So yeah, just getting past Mirko there, who is a couple of laps down, unfortunately caught up in that early incident.
We'll just jump on board here with Edward Foster and Daniel Hedersheed. This gap has stayed exactly the same throughout the whole race so far. So just around about that 3/10 Hedersheed there, just jumping on the gas, just getting a little bit sideways, not able to get the drive out of the corner as he saw an opportunity there. Foster running a little bit wide, but nothing has changed here. The gap stays the same with the 53 of Edward Foster in second and Daniel Hedersheed in third. And the gap again just out to around 3/10.
Yeah, one thing that does do for Hedersheed is just run a little bit more temperature in those rear tyres, which can catch you out a little bit. You don't want to be running too much. You don't want to be spinning those wheels up too much because it does affect you as the laps go on. We've got 11 laps completed of 35 now, so they're going to be starting to think about pit stops probably in about the next 5 to 10 laps, so they will be getting relatively close to an early stop. You might see Hedersheed come in a little bit earlier trying the undercut, and a few drivers might be looking at that for a bit of an option to try and actually get past some of the cars in front of them who they are struggling to pass. There are a few tight battles out there which are going to be, which could be decided with a little bit of an undercut. It can make up an enormous amount of time. You can gain a fair few seconds with that undercut.
Unless, of course, you are Lewis Hamilton, in which case you won't.
No, in which case you won't. It seems like as long as you're not driving a Mercedes, you will generally gain some time in the undercut position.
Just grab Lockie. He was down in the infield care centre there. How's the leg, Lockie?
Oh, the leg's fine. I'm just a bit miffed about that first lap.
Yes, it was quite the incident. There were a number of people involved. We sort of saw it with the blimp. What happened from your perspective?
Oh, look, wrecks happen. Like, I wasn't the thing. Whatever happened in front happened, and it's basically a Watkins Glen thing on lap 1. But the thing I'm most annoyed about is there a little bit of lack of heads-up driving from some of the guys behind. I mean, iRacing shows the yellow flag in the top left corner and tells you there's a wreck ahead, and they still went in there full chat, and I ended up getting turned into the fence. So yeah, that's a little bit lackluster in my opinion.
Not ideal. How's the new wheel?
Oh, I love it. Wish I'd done it beforehand, but yeah.
And how long are the repairs on the car? You're going to be back out there again tonight in the track?
Look, I was losing nearly 2 seconds a lap, and then my iRacing seized up before, so I don't think I'll go back out.
I was about to ask you what actually happened there, because I saw you bolt off into the barrier going along the straight, and I thought something's gone wrong there.
Screen froze.
Always fun. We've got the battle between Hedersheed and Foster starting to heat up a little bit once again. Foster is having to defend a little bit. Really shame to see it out this early, Lockie, and as you said, shame about that first lap incident. They do happen, unfortunately, but sometimes people really do need to pay attention to those yellow flags because they do mean an awful lot, and they are out there to try and help you.
Hey, cheers, Carl. I'll catch us later. enjoy the broadcast.
Thanks, Lockie. You too, mate. Thanks for dropping in from the care centre, and we'll see you out there again, no doubt. Hopefully tomorrow night, on Wednesday night or Thursday night, depending. And look forward to seeing how you get on there. I just jumped on with Kate Donnelly, Alex John, back on the back of the Donnelly mobile, and he's putting him under pressure. Kate running a little wide into turn 1, which just meant that he became susceptible again to Alex John, who got a much better exit out of turn 1, and that means this gap here down to 3/10 again. Nathan Clark, Aiden Schultz as well. We'll jump back to them as Cade just grabs a little bit of the Buffalo as well on his way through there. But,
one thing I do want to jump to, Stuart, is our leader, Ben Snell. He is hemorrhaging time at the moment. It looks like his rear tyres are just starting to fall off a little bit. The car is looking like an absolute handful. The lad's racing car there is really struggling, and that back end is stepping out. You can see they're going through the corner. The rear is just absolutely kicking out on him every time he puts his foot down, tries to get some traction on that car, and he is losing a fair bit of time there. So he is starting to struggle a little bit, I think, on those rear tyres. It's just starting to fall off a little bit. So definitely something to look out for at the lead of this race. Ben Snell having an absolute stellar qualifying lap and some serious race pace as well. But his times have started to hemorrhage, and he is losing around about quarter of a second to half a second to Foster and Hedersheed behind him every lap at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on when he pits in. Yeah, you can visibly see it closing up in the back there. There was a large gap beforehand as Dwayne Priest has jumped to the pits after an incident as well. So there's a fair few dropping out here. We've got 20 left on the lead lap. Now we've got 20 cars left currently on the lead lap. So early on in this one, Riley Curtis just dropping down a little bit as well. He went off track, back on in the Mark 1 eSports car.
Back a little bit. Newcomer Alex John has made the move on Kay Donnelly. He made it through the first corner, managed to brake a little bit later and get the move done in the 977 and jump up into 4th place. So good job on him, and you can just see how much faster he is over Kay Donnelly at the moment. He is absolutely starting to catch up to the front pack. He's got a lot of time to make though. Around about 10 seconds on Hedersheed and Foster at the moment, for 14 seconds on Ben Snell. So he's got a lot of time to make up, but he might start doing that. He looks like he's got some good pace in that car, so it'll be interesting to see how that one goes.
Michael Schroeder here closed right up on the back of, Alex McKellar, my apologies, closed right up on the back of Michael Schroeder. So this battle has emerged as we're out through into lap 14, so just keeping an eye in to get the clock for some of these guys to start jumping into pit lane as tyres start to go off, but we haven't quite yet seen that. Foster and Hedersheed, second and third, basically identical on lap times. It's a huge drop back to Alex John. He's well into the mid to late 16s, and then we've got 17s for a fair number of the drivers thereafter. So those lead three still putting some time on those behind them, but certainly dropping away from that early race pace.
Tell you what, one driver to look out for is Andrew Dyson. He's come into pit lane and made the swap. He just set the fastest lap of that last lap, not the fastest lap of the session, but he's the fastest car out on track currently on those fresh tyres. So it gives you an idea of how much faster those fresh boots are, with that damage to his car as well. That's a relatively speedy lap, so he's going to be trying a little bit of the undercut on a lot of drivers. Of course, what that does is it does leave you a little bit open later in the race, so he is going to leave himself open to attack a little bit later on in the race, coming in on lap 13, I think it was, but he is going to try and make hay while the sun shines and try and make up a few positions with those fresh tyres, get a little bit of a repair done and see if he can't jump a few positions. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he does a little bit further back. Foster and Hedersheed is still going on. That battle for second place is still raging at the moment. Both those cars are looking a little bit wobbly as we see Snell come into pit lane as well as Foster. So they have pulled the pin. I think Foster saw Snell coming into pit lane, decided it's time for him to come in as well. Both of them stopping, and this has released Daniel Heddersheed. How much can he gain out there right now on those older tyres? Will this cost him time? Will he be able to jump Foster? Will he be able to make use of the overcut and just make a bit better time on Foster? It is going to be a crucial stop.
Yeah, absolutely it is. So we'll just see who gets out here. Heddersheed stays out. See if Foster can get a gap on him. So Snell gets out there. Foster not too far behind him. Have a look at the relatives for those two pit stops there. 48.1 total time for Snell. 46.98 for Foster. So he's going to have closed that gap. Heddersheed is going to have to put in a really strong couple of laps here, or at least this lap, to make sure that that Foster doesn't open up a bigger gap over him. We'll jump on board with him and see how his lap goes. 16.17 last time around. We're expecting low 15s on the first flying lap out of pit lane. We see Luke Trahare in, Aiden Schultz in as well. So there's plenty to watch here as we just get through this cycle for the pit stops. And he stayed out. Heddersheed stayed out for another lap. This is a very interesting strategy from him. It's going to serve him well later in the race. He'll have tyres that are going to be a couple of laps stronger, but it's how much time he's going to lose between now and then with Foster and Snell out on brand new tyres.
Yeah, Alex John as well. He's staying out there too, just trying to make a bit of time out on those slightly worn tyres. We see Hamish Cleland coming into pit lane as well now. So it's going to be how fast Foster and...
he's overshot his pit box too. Sorry to interrupt. He's overshot his pit box as well. Hamish Cleland has had to reverse that one back up the pit lane.
Yeah, that's not going to help him out. So Foster, that last lap round was a 1:14. That was the wrong one. Looking at best laps. So we'll wait and see how this goes after this lap. This is going to be the crucial lap for working out how much faster they are on Heddersheed. Heddersheed setting a relatively good lap of a 1:16.1. That isn't a bad lap time considering the tyres he's on. But Alex John setting a 1:15.5. That is an incredible lap considering he is on very worn tyres. So he is doing a good job out there to try and make up a little bit of time right now. So we'll see how that one works out. A few drivers are also sticking out there a little bit longer. Oh, Daniel Heddersheed actually setting a 1:15.238, a very fast lap. So Heddersheed is absolutely dropping the hammer right now. Foster has to really push to respond to this, because otherwise Heddersheed could get the overcut done right here. What's Foster's time going to be? We're going to find out in just a few short corners. If it is faster than a 1:15.2, then Foster's looking good. If it's slower, then it's not going to be so good. Foster sets a 1:14.5, so he is faster, so this is going to help him out as expected on those fresh tyres.
Ben Snell doing a 13.95, even more blistering.
Fastest lap of the race as well for Ben Snell. So he is really using up those fresh tyres. Now, of course, we did see Snell struggling later in his stint, of course. So he might be using up a little bit too much too quick. He's right behind Nathan Rowland at the moment, who has not stopped as of yet. So Rowland there on those old tyres. And if he can keep Snell behind him a little bit, this could be exactly what Daniel Heddersheed needs. So just costing Snell and Foster a little bit of time could be really good news for Heddersheed.
Absolutely, as well. Just jumps in back behind Snell there. Snell very assertive in the way he made his way through. So, and Edward Foster's going to want to try and make sure he doesn't spend too much time behind him either, as Daniel Heddersheed surely will come into pit lane this next lap around. Otherwise, he is going to start hemorrhaging a little bit of time. Already 1.5 seconds from Snell to Heddersheed last time around. Sorry, 1.1 seconds even last time around. And Foster the same. So they're definitely opening up a gap if he's not too careful. The total pit lane transition around 48 seconds. Gap at the moment only 25.
Yeah, Heddersheed's going to lose around about 10-15 seconds on Foster and Snell coming in that little bit later, but he will have fresher tyres towards the end of the race. So it's what he can gain on those tyres. But you've got to say, with the pace that Foster and Snell have been setting, and then they're not that far off. That last time round, Foster and Snell were just a couple of tenths off each other, 1:14.504, 1:14.512.
Oh, no.
Hennessy does make a little bit of a mistake coming into pit lane. Did he go a little bit too fast coming into pit lane now? That's going to be, could be really costly for him. Just that little mistake, though, that's going to cost him a little bit more time. He's going to get passed by a few drivers, of course, but it's how he can do on those fresh tyres when he comes back out.
Yeah, I think he might get a penalty there, unfortunately. He had everything absolutely locked up and crossed on his way into pit lane to the point where he actually lost the rear of the truck a little bit. So we'll keep an eye and see if he does get a pit lane penalty for that, for speeding. He's away now, so maybe not unless he does get a drive-through. So, but Ben Snell does resume the lead of this race. He's 3.9 seconds to the good over Edward Foster, and Foster has, through that pit stop, managed to widen that gap. That was 3/10 for a majority of the start of this race. That's widened right out now to nearly 5 seconds.
Yeah, Hennessy doing a great job in pit lane, actually. He only lost about 8 seconds as, oh, who's that having a big off there?
Scotty Rankin, unfortunately, just rotating the car around in through turn 1.
Ooh, Mick Taylor as well, losing it as well through turn 7, the loop, so big moment for him. Scotty Rankin, of course, he's not stopped yet, so he's out there on extremely old tyres, so he didn't need that to happen because he was trying to sort of play a little bit of a longer game on those tyres and not paying off. I think he just got caught out a little bit on those warm tyres and it just rotated the car a bit more than he wanted it to.
Yeah, absolutely. So he'll probably jump in this lap. Ultra Hairs behind him, and basically it is James Robbie and that truck there looking very second-hand, unfortunately. But James Robbie and Scotty Rankin, the only two out on tracks at the moment who have not pitted, along with Mick Taylor.
Yeah, keeping it out there for a bit. I did say Andrew Dyson pitted quite early to try and gain a few positions. He's managed to work his way up to 19th position in that very, very broken car. Obviously a lot of damage from that initial crash, so we haven't seen the speed that we would have hoped from Andrew Dyson, but he's managing to keep it going out there, which is a feat in its own. So doing a good job at the moment of keeping that car moving, at least.
Scotty Rankin into pit lane, unfortunately overshot his pit box a little, so he had to reverse that one up, but getting new tyres on that truck.
Yeah, he'll be very happy to have some fresh boots on that car, I am sure, because it is not fun when you are out there on used tyres and it just feels like the car is just sliding around on overly chewed up bubble gum, and you just can't seem to get any pace down whatsoever. Speaking of pace, Daniel Heddersheed has just shown his hand, a 1:13.705, fastest lap of the race by a couple of tenths, an absolute stellar lap from him. He is now chasing down Foster. It's going to be one thing to chase him down, though. He's got to chase him down. It's another thing to pass. As we've seen, it's not the easiest thing to do here tonight. If you've got a driver that has got that little bit of similar pace to you, it's very hard to get past him.
And let's not forget, of course, that he's going to have to push hard to catch up to Foster as well. And in having to push to catch him, he may just wear out that tyre advantage that he has.
Absolutely, that is a huge thing in that respect, and it's going to be a question of how well Ben Snell can look after his tyres as well, because we saw towards the end of that last stint he was starting to struggle. That rear end was really starting to step out and he was losing quite a bit of time to the drivers behind him. So how is he going to cope with this second stint, which will be a little tiny bit longer? Alex John has secured himself up into 4th place ahead of Kate Donnelly with that pit stop as well, so that's worked out very well for him. He's on relatively fresh tyres as well. He's only done 5 laps on those tyres, so he's got some of the fresher tyres out there as he works his way up the field. He's got a long way to go though to catch the guys in front. A big gap there for him, so it's going to be tricky to do. Nathan Clark, stellar drive down in 8th place at the moment. He's managing to keep that position just ahead. 9th place, 18 positions gained for himself. He's right there with Nathan Rollock at the moment as he's trying to make up one more position. It looks like he might be able to do it. Oh, gets a big snap of oversteer on the exit of the corner. Can't quite make it work, the two drivers there, but gotta say Nathan Clark looks a little bit more speedy than Rollock in front of him, although Rollock does have some fresher tyres, so it's going to be an interesting little battle between these two. Nathan Clark, of course, he's got to start thinking. Although it's still early doors, he's got to think about championship. He is sitting 2nd currently, so he doesn't want to make a big mistake, especially with championship leader Jason Martin pretty much out of this race.
Yeah, definitely. It's one for him to just consolidate tonight. Not necessarily try and grab that win, but definitely get the consolidation. And I think that 9th's better than nothing at all, but he is going to get past. Is he going to get the move done here? He will get the move done here, so he'll grab one extra spot as well.
Yeah, good drive from him. We know Nathan Clark is very quick on the dirt, but he's showing his turn of form on the road tracks as well. And if you can keep the car consistently up there in the top 10 and have a couple of good results as well, we know that that can win you a championship. We saw Stevie Dub do it last season in the trucks. Of course, he had a brilliant season taking the victory and the championship just with real consistency over the series. So consistency is an absolute key feature here as we see a little bit of traffic getting caught up here between Foster and Heddersheed now. So this is going to slow Foster down a tiny bit as he makes his way through the traffic. I'm pretty sure that's Andrew Dyson just behind him, who's had an absolute night to forget. Unfortunately, that decision to start further back down the grid did not pay off for him with that early incident.
No, and I was just watching the battle between Foster and Heddersheed. The gap now down to 1.3 seconds. Heddersheed's still got to make his way through that little bit of traffic that Foster's just navigated, but 1:14.75 last time around for him, out of 1:15.75 for Foster, so another second gain. A little bit of that'll be traffic, but some of that'll be the newer tyres as well. Down at the pack a little bit, Matty Raymond is coming under pressure from Aidan Schultz in that little bit of a twisted Crank Esports entry, and with him is Riley Curtis as well. So this is the battle here for 10th, 11th and 12th. Matty Raymond up 20 positions.
Yeah, Matty Raymond doing a great job actually. He got past Aidan Schultz on that lap as well, so he managed to make a good position up there. He got past Aidan Schultz up through the S's, so a really nice move from Matty Ray there. So he's doing a great job as always. Mr. Clean keeping that car nice and sparkly up the front. So he's always keeping that car relatively clean, and that really does make a difference in these races. Keeping a clean car is key to getting a good finish.
It's a formula that he repeats week in, week out, which is why he's got the nickname we've given him of Mr. Sheen. So just managing to keep everything clean and run his own race, and it always pays dividends for him now. He's up in the top 10, so albeit qualifying probably not where he wanted and a little bit of a risky strategy, it is paying off for him once again tonight.
Yeah, definitely something. It's sort of things to work on is qualifying pace for Matty Raymond. It's one of those things, maybe not the strongest sort of point of his overall skill set, but managing to work through traffic and actually work his way past other drivers is one of those things he is a master at, and you see it week in, week out with managing to keep that car clean as well. And it's a really good job from him.
Scotty Rankin just gets the job done. Alex McKellar through the flip-flop, and that was a good bit of driving from both drivers, plenty of room given. And Scotty Rankin gets that slightly damaged 156 truck up one position in front of Alex McKellar. Oh, as he ducks into pit lane actually, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. Maybe a drive-through or some damage. He's already done his one pit stop for the night. just keep an eye on it here. I think he might just be cruising the pit lane, potentially maybe getting an infringement when he came in for his stop. And yeah, he has got a drive through there, so disappointing for Scotty. He won't be happy with that, but he'll press on and continue in the race.
Yeah, that's it. It could be instant points as well, of course, generally with a drive-through like that. Oh, we've got to move position as Hedesheen has made the pass on Foster coming up to the inner loop. He finally gets the job done on Foster. He's been trying for that for good 28 laps almost. He has been staring at the back of the Natari Autosport car. What a pass that was as well. That was a really, really bold pass. He actually went round the outside of Foster into the loop. So effectively went round the outside, which gave him the inside for the next corner. We see it here. So he's staying on the outside there. So he's going to be on the outside of the first corner. He just absolutely cuts across Foster, dominating him through the corner and holds it on to position. Brilliant pass there. And yeah, that was fun. He's fallen back. Hedesheen has fallen back.
I was going to say, we'll jump on to another replay. Hedesheen might have just cooked it a little bit there, and he's run wide, and that's allowed Foster to get back as he was off track. Oh, he's just done well to hang on to that, getting quite loose, just getting on the gas, coming back onto the circuit, and the battle resumes for second place.
Yeah, that was, what a lap that was, full of drama and everything. But yeah, that great pass undone by just a little bit of very late braking there. So Hedesheen is going to be, he's probably going to be steaming underneath that visor and just getting a little bit, you sort of get annoyed at yourself when you make a silly mistake like that. So he's got to just calm down a little bit, not overdrive the car now, not overcook those tyres, and just get back into the rhythm and get back to hunting down Foster. That's the important thing for him right now.
It's actually a bit of good vision.
Oh, we got a good move going on between Aiden Schultz and Riley Curtis, as Riley Curtis makes a big dive bomb down the inside of Aiden Schultz and gets the position there.
We'll jump back onto the Foster Hedesheen battle as the gap's closed up once again. When they come through the flip-flop and the following right-hander, you can see the difference between the two driving styles of the two drivers. Hedesheen slides the car a lot more than Foster through that corner, and after he made the pass, he probably overheated the rear tyres a little bit, which led to that incident just a few corners later. So we'll just stick on board with them here. Just watch the attitude on the 035 once they get out of the flip-flop. As they head into the right-hander, Hedesheen's a lot more aggressive on the exit and just does slide. You can just see it there. He just slides the car down into the following corner. Foster takes a slightly wider line and turns the truck in. And I think that's probably where Hedesheen got into a bit of trouble on the out there. You can see again just drifting that car right out to the outside of the corner and just overheating those rear tyres a little bit, I think.
Yeah, Foster, very much a smooth driving style. When you look at drivers, there are a few different styles out there. You have the ragged edge drivers. You have the drivers that keep it a little bit sort of dirty. Oh, Hedesheen gets a big tank slapper there. He almost got into the back of Foster as well. Very close there between those two. But Foster very much using that very smooth driving style, just not putting too much pressure on the car. It almost looks like he's cruising around on a Sunday afternoon, whereas Hedesheen is all about the aggression right now. He's really throwing that truck into the corners. He is making it do what he wants it to do, and he's really applying the pressure to it. So very different driving styles, keeping very similar lap times, but you can see Hedesheen, again, he's going to try and make the same move. He makes the late lunge down Foster's outside. Will he get it stopped in time? Not quite. Foster saw that one coming, just braked a little bit later and managed to put Hedesheen off a little bit. He just kept the car in exactly the right position there, Foster. Hedesheen had to brake there or there was going to be an enormous crash. So good defensive driving by Foster, and Hedesheen he's used up his joker already. Now Foster knows it's coming. He's got to think about another plan of attack.
Yeah, absolutely, and Cleland under pressure here from Donnelly as well. And this battle continues. There's a few down through the field, but we will try and keep an eye on them as well. We'll jump to them where we can when this pass is being made. But I think for the minute we stick with Foster Hedesheen as they continue their battle lap after lap. There's only 4 to go. Ben Snell leads this one. He is a whopping 8 seconds to the good out in front, or 7 depending on their position where they are on the track, but anyway, around about 7.5 seconds out in the lead of this one. This gap just opened a little wider here on this lap, so out to 3/4 of a second, so Foster will be able to just make his way through this lap with a slight ease on his breath, but header sheet will be back. He's just probably going to let those rear tyres cool off before he has another crack at Foster with a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, that's it. He's just going to relax a little bit, then go back into attack mode. He's just waiting and you're almost letting the driver in front of you get lulled into a false sense of security before you then go back on the attack and try and make that move once more. So he's doing he's just relaxing a little bit, just taking a few deep breaths and trying to plan his next attack. And I think that's the big thing, because he knows that he's probably not going to be able to do it in the inner loop now, because Foster's seen that one come in a couple of times, and he knows what's going to happen. So he's going to have to think about another place of attacking right now. Where is it going to be? Of course, turn 1 is a obvious spot. Of course, late braking into the 90 here, that very tight right-hander, and he's going to go a bit wide here, just goes off a little bit. I think he was trying that little bit of a late brake, just seeing how far he can go. Didn't quite work out for him. He lost a little bit of time with that one, but of course he's going to get that nice bit of draft up the hill and once more up through the S's, back onto the back straight and into the inner loop. So he's going to be thinking again, where can I make that next attack? I reckon it's probably going to be turn 8 or turn 9. Probably turn 8, just as we come off the chute here. So we're going to come through this big right-hander, this long corner. He's going to try and get underneath Foster's rear wing, and then he's going to try and make a bit of a dive bomb down I'd probably say down the inside if he can make it, into this corner. He's not quite close enough this time, but I reckon this will be his next plan of attack, possibly through turn 8, or maybe just try and go around the outside of turn 8 and then try for the inside of turn 9 to give him a little bit better exit onto the start-finish straight. He's definitely thinking about it, but he's only got 2 laps to go. He's running out of time, as Ben Snell does lead up in front still, doing a great job. He's really got to make this move on Foster at some stage soon, because otherwise he's going to run out of laps.
He's really, really aggressive on the throttle out of the corners, and albeit it obviously innately it feels like the right thing to do to jump on the throttle to get the car going again, it's costing him time. You can just see that coming out of that last corner there, he was just jogging on the spot. When he jumped on the throttle on the back end, stepped out again, and it just allows Foster just enough to open up that gap where he can defend where he needs to. And he'll do it again here. Just watch the attitude on the 035 as it just sort of gets around the corner. He'll jump on the gas, and it'll get a little bit taily as it does again there. You can just see him overcorrecting with a little bit of opposite lock, and that won't be helping his cause at all. He's just got one. He's going to only have, as you say, a handful of other opportunities to get this done. Those rear tyres are going to be just protesting a little bit, and he's going to run out of opportunities here. Come back down onto the final lap now. You just see it there again. Back end stepped out. He's just all over the place trying to get the power down. So
he's really trying, and Foster's got a lot of traffic ahead of him as well. So this could be the opportunity. If Foster gets caught up behind traffic, he could do a sort of Hacken and Schumacher Zonta-esque pass at Spa, the free wide, with Foster being caught behind the car of Aaron Major here. Aaron Major just pulls it out the way, lets those 2 cars through. Nice move by Aaron Major. They're not getting himself in the way. Ruben Phelps is the next car in front of them. But the header sheet's just got to hope for one of those cars just to give Foster a little bit of a block so he can get the opportunity. He is really trying for it, but it is not working out for him as they are coming around this final lap. You can see he's right on the ragged edge at the moment. this is going to be his really last opportunity to make a move if he can. But I don't think he's going to be able to make it work. I think he's pretty much out of options. He does try for the late lunge, but it's not going to work. We're going to see Ben Snell take his first victory in his first ANZCAR race here and get the job done, with Foster in second and Daniel Hedersheed in third place. Alex John, another rookie and first time to the race, comes across the line in fourth place, with Hamish Cleland coming home in fifth place. He's got a nice healthy lead ahead of Cade Donnelly at the moment.
Ben Snell starts to celebrate this great win, and he's just doing a little bit of his best drift work as he heads around for his victory lap here at Watkins Glen. The race will run.
We've got a final battle between Matty Raymond and Riley Curtis as we are coming to the close of this race. Riley Curtis right on the back of Matty Raymond, so Matty Raymond's going to have to do a lot to keep that position. This is really the last battle out on track at the moment. Matty Ray doing a great job up there. He has gained 20 positions, same amount as Riley Curtis. So both these cars 20 positions in the race. Both of them the biggest gainers tonight. Riley Curtis finishes just behind Matty Raymond there. Great driving from them both.
Yeah, it was really good running from both of them as we just hop back on board here with our race winner as he lights up those tyres and enjoys this one. Really, really strong performance from him. Fastest lap of the race as well. Oh, in fact, he got pipped by Daniel Hedersheed for that privilege. Hedersheed beating him by 2/10, the fastest lap of the race, a 1:13.71. But at the end of the day, Ben Snell, a really, really strong performance as he puts on a good show down the main straight and just finishes it off into the wall, but he's still going there, just making sure that there's nothing left of that truck. He'll get a fresh one for next week, and really enjoying himself on the front straight. So we will get the guys into the booth for the post-race interviews in a sec, but for now let's bring up, and we might just go through the top 10 tonight, Carl, because there's not too many beyond that who actually finished the race, but we'll get the results up here.
So up in first place, as we say, Ben Snell taking out his first victory in the ANZCAR Series, first victory in the trucks, a brilliant debut for him. Foster in second, again, strong performance, great battle between himself and third place man Daniel Hedersheed. Alex John in fourth position, putting on a good show. Started fourth, finished fourth. Hamish Cleland in fifth position with Cade Donnelly in sixth. Seventh, we have Luke Trahere. Nathan Clark doing a great job, making up 19 positions, finishing in eighth place. Nathan Rourke coming home in ninth at the end, with Matty Raymond finishing in 10th position, 20 positions gained. Riley Curtis just behind him in 11th, also with 20 positions gained. The biggest gainers of the race there. Brilliant job from those guys.
Tell you what, the motor in that 141 must be made of something special. Like it's still going.
Obviously, it's a Russian motor made of Stalinium, because that thing is just bulletproof at the moment. You could build a tank out of it, and it would survive any shot.
It could also be because of the strength of Ben's beard game as to why that motor lasted so long. So we'll see what happens. So just waiting on Daniel Hedersheed to jump into the green room, and then we'll bring them up. Ben Snell already there. Edward Foster might grab them in. We'll start from the top tonight, which is a little bit unusual for us, but we'll get Ben and Ed in, and we'll get these interviews underway. Take it away.
So we'll start from first place tonight for Lads Racing. Mr. Ben Snell, congratulations on, well, first time out in the ANZCAR trucks and pretty much dominating us. Well done on that victory, mate.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I ran ANZCAR a few seasons ago. It was a little while ago now, with the lads boys. So I saw it was on Watkins this week, and I am a little bit of a road course guy. So I thought I'd jump in and have a crack, and maybe try and get some ovals in during the rest of the season as well.
Well, we hope to see you back, because you put on a dominating performance here, getting the victory, of course. Obviously, you did mention a bit of a Watkins specialist, of course. So I imagine you got a bit of experience around this track.
Definitely, pretty much every time it pops up in officials, it doesn't matter which class it is. I jump in and have a few races. It's a really good fun track in these cars. In any of the NASCARs, really, it really suits them well.
Yeah, it is an awesome track to run in. We saw yourself doing a great job out there. I've got to ask, with the first stint, it looked like you were starting to struggle a little bit towards the end of that tyre stint, just losing a little bit of time. Were you just easing off a little bit, or were the back tyres just dropping off for you?
I was actually struggling with the fronts more than the rears, to be honest. I started ploughing pretty hard. I hadn't done a full tank run yet, basically just the practice that we had tonight before the race. So, yeah, it was my first full tank run, and I really noticed that I was really punishing the fronts at the start of the stint. So I rectified that in the second stint, and it went a lot better.
Yeah, that second stint did look, I wouldn't say easy. It's never easy out there, but definitely looked a little bit cleaner and less of a handful. But just a pretty dominating performance, really. We saw you setting, of course, the pole position time on paper from start to finish, leading the race and finishing the race in first position. Just a real dominating performance.
Cheers. It's just a shame that Andrew Dyson didn't put a time in quali, because he is really, really fast and super quick on the road courses. So he unfortunately got held up or caught up in a bit of an incident at the start, by the sounds of it. And I was really hoping I could have a solid race with him, and Daniel as well. Daniel had a lot of pace, just couldn't find a way past Mr. Foster there. So, yeah, I just got left to my own devices, and it was probably a little bit easier than it should have been.
No, congratulations on that. Yeah, Andrew Dyson getting caught up in that first corner incident, unfortunately. So, of course, before we let you go, the big ones for tonight, of course, the love and shout out to your sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, of course, shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's going to be a good watch to go have a look at. Thanks to Edward and the ANZCAR crew for putting on all these amazing series that we all run. Shout out to Lads Racing and Howie for dragging me back in, as well as a couple of the top split guys that have come over from the Skippies. So there's a few Skippy guys that have just jumped in, and we're all having a crack at some oval stuff to switch it up. So definitely look forward to running a lot more of these races with the guys and having a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you hopefully in some more events this season. It's been fun having some fresh faces return and some old faces come back to us, because we always love seeing a bit more competition in the series. But congratulations on that win.
Very much.
Next up, we will grab the second place man from Surrey Autosport, Mr. Edward Foster. Congratulations on that P2 finish.
Was not expecting that. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that one. P2 here at Watkins Glen. You yourself confessed not a road course specialist, but you seem to be doing very well on them lately.
Yeah, it just seems to be clicking at the moment. I'm not sure why. Just seems to be coming to me, especially Watkins Glen. I mean, I saw all these road guys names that I recognised from around the traps a little bit on the roadside jumping in. And I'm just like, oh, God, I'm aiming for a P9 or 10 here at absolute best. And then, managed to hook up a decent enough qualifying lap. And Daniel didn't get the best of start, so I managed to slot in front of him on lap one. And from there, it was just going to be a case of just seeing how long I could hold him back for. I wasn't expecting to hold him back for the whole race. And then as the race sort of started to go on, I saw that Snell wasn't pulling away as fast as I thought he might. And I was a little bit encouraged by that, but at the same time, he's sort of just been pulling out a 10th and a 10th and a 10th and a 10th. And of course, Daniel came into his own, because as I expected him to. And I was a little bit concerned I was going to see Dyson or somebody like that kind of coming into my rear view at some point as well. So I just kept the head down, bum up, and went for it, and it all turned out in the end.
Yeah, very much so. A absolute thrilling battle you put on with Daniel as well. With your pit stop, we saw Ben Snell coming in. Was that a bit of a late decision for yourself to come into the pit lane with Ben Snell, or were you sort of planning on stopping on that lap to begin with?
No, that was always going to be the lap I stopped.
Okay, always interesting to work out when people are stopping, things like that. It makes for an interesting race. But we did see you having an absolute mega battle with yourself and Daniel. How taxing was that?
Oh, look, it was tough. It was absolutely tough. It was just a case of trying to be fast where I needed to be and not over driving where there wasn't a way for him to get through. So in the end, he did get through, made an absolute ball terror of a move around the outside of the bus stop on the way into there, and then unfortunately handed it back to us straight away. So it's not a gift I was counting on getting. As soon as he went by, I thought, well, that's it. I'll hang on for third, and I even gave him a little shout out for the radio because it was an impressive move, and then he gave it back to us. So I managed to thankfully hold on there to the end. I'm not sure how many more laps I would have been able to hold on for. The tyres were pretty toast by the end, but got it there in the end, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, congratulations on that P2 finish. Of course, shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, of course. So our sponsors, FGME Cast, Ferguson Group Media, obviously, Race Magazine, Two Fat Blokes, and Bridgestone Select, as well as AJ Insurance Services, come on board with us for the Thunder. Also, obviously, you guys there for the broadcast. Big shout out to Ben for coming in and winning like that. He did a fantastic job. And a shout out to my old mate Daniel here. He, how good is he? He comes in, hardly any experience in a stock car, and he's fast on an oval, he's fast on a dirt track, and he's fast on a road course. So doesn't seem to be too much he can't do. So we're looking for that name to be adding itself to the winners list pretty soon, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And speaking of Daniel Heshid, 2/5 so far this season in the trucks, and now a third place finish. It was only a matter of time before we got you up in the commentary booth. Congratulations on that P3 finish, and thank you for giving us such an entertaining battle with yourself and Edward Foster there.
Oh, how good was that battle? Shame I ended up on the wrong end of that, but that was awesome with Ed. Clean racing. I made that silly mistake just after I finally got past, pushing to get past him the whole race. Finally get it done, and 2 corners later I'm in the sand trap, which was a bit frustrating, but it's been a good start to the season.
No, absolutely. Something I wanted to mention, actually, because you did send best lap of the race as well by a good couple of tenths as well. So we saw you had some epic speed out there. We've seen such a good start from you as well. New to the series, of course. New name to the series. So, whenever I get a new name in there, I'm usually mispronouncing it, but just usually sort of wondering how they're going to go. And we've seen some absolute brilliant performances from yourself. As I said, so far you've not finished outside the top 5 in the truck series. That is a brilliant record, and getting your first podium tonight, you must be pretty happy with how this has started out for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's been a bit of a shock, to be fair. I was expecting maybe top 20s, top 10s maybe. I haven't done any oval racing, let's be fair, probably until about 2 months ago, and I've sort of just picked up the truck, having a heap of fun and doing the officials, and I thought I'd give this a go. I've stepped away from the V8 a bit this season, so this has sort of taken its place, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it's something I wanted to ask you, of course, because I've seen your name around a little bit, of course. Seen you in some other series as well. But what's your main racing experience? What generally keeps you going in the weeks and months?
It's pretty much the whole time I've been on iRacing. It's just been in the V8, just doing series after series. Started off with the Jinx Super 2 series and moved my way up a little bit. Had a little go at Scops last season, but I don't really have the time at the moment to be putting into keeping up with those fast boys. So, have had a bit of a change this season. Went to doing a bit of the trucks and the Skip Barbers for ANZCAR.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you here, and it's been a great start to the season. It's really it's a matter of when rather than if that you get to the top step from the performances you've been given. Of course, we won't be too quick to say that because, of course, luck can change in motorsport quite quickly, but you have been giving us some brilliant performances as of late. You've come in and absolutely drawn up a storm, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's actually been quite cool. Like last week, jumped in and I was quite shocked to see that we were racing these utes around on the dirt oval, which I think I'm still a rookie in dirt. So to get up to pace within an hour and to finish P5 after a terrible quali, that was a bit of a surprise. And I had better hopes for this week. I knew I was going to be in with a shot being into my road racing, but it's been awesome fun.
No, thank you so much. So, first time up here, of course, so you've probably heard me say it a couple of times, but the shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, shout out to 111 Esports, Simfinity, Fully Floored Racing. You guys for putting on the broadcast, Ed and all the ANZCAR guys for putting on such an awesome series.
With giving us races like that, you are much more than welcome. Thank you so much, Daniel, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Cheers, guys.
What a race, Stuart. That was a fantastic battle towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Daniel and Ed, they're just putting on a show for us, and a dominating performance there from Ben as well. It will certainly be interesting to see him take on Andrew Dyson at some stage too. And with the way Daniel's going as well, I'm sure he'll be involved in that one. So plenty of good racing to look forward to for the balance of the truck season, that is for sure. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see those guys potentially jump in either to the Thunder Series or the Cup, if they can get into qualifying for the Cup, with the circuit racing to come in those two series as well.
Yeah, very much so. It's tantalising for the future, seeing some of these guys putting in such good performances. Of course, the sort of... It's hard to say feeder series, but the sort of series to get you ready for the Cup series, of course, the Thunder with the Xfinity cars and the Truck series, of course. It's a great way of getting yourself prepared for those Cup cars and getting an idea of what it's like to actually race against these guys. But it's sort of... They're making it, especially with some of the great performances we've seen, they're making it look a little bit easier. It's not as easy as it looks. They've just been putting in some absolutely stonking performances.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get to see a little bit more of that as the season progresses.
We will indeed. And speaking of seasons progressing, we will be carrying on here on FGM eCast, of course, with AJ Insurance company giving us lots of help and keeping us going. But we'll be heading to Oz Pro-Am tomorrow night, of course, where we will be going around the greenhouse, Stuart.
Yeah, we will indeed. It'll be an interesting one. That there's been a bit of conjecture in the chat for that series around whether it'll be a 2-lap and a 5-lap fixed race. At this stage, I believe it won't be. It'll just be based on time. So could be some people getting caught out tomorrow night as we head to the Nordschleife, and there's been lots of practice being done and a lot of drivers saying that they're still struggling to make it round there in a lap. So there's going to be plenty of action there tomorrow night before we are back on Wednesday night with the Thunder Series. And then Thursday with the Cup. So our usual week streaming coming live to Wednesday night. I will be flying solo, which will be an interesting one for the Thunder Series, with Carl having other duties. So do tune in for that one if you want to have a laugh. And back on Thursday for the Cup.
Yeah, and we will be racing at Charlotte for both of those races. But in the Cup Series, it's going to be a little bit different, of course, because it is the open setup race for the Charlotte 200 laps of Charlotte, and that does count, of course, for the Grand Slam. So Michael Skurlock is going to be wanting to win that race for sure to get himself secured for that grand prize of a nice new Simrigs unit. So he's going to really be wanting to get that one locked in. It's going to be an exciting week coming up, and we look forward to you all joining us. A big thank you, as always, to everybody that's joined us tonight. We could not do it without you guys, so thank you so much. And if you can, just hit that little like button and, of course, the subscribe button. It just helps our algorithm out and just keeps us going and make sure we can keep bringing you this amazing racing on a week-to-week basis. But from myself, Carl Withy, I'm going to wish you all a good night, and we will see you all again tomorrow for the Oz Pro-Am series.
Absolutely, everyone have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.